Hello there and welcome back to another edition of the Hot Lap Classic Remastered. This time I'm taking a look at the 1997 Acura NSX. Another NSX to take on our course. This is the second and last from the Acura brand, although they are entirely identical to the Honda NSXs, which we have quite a few to still go through. This is our second race-modded NSX to take on the course, and I'm hoping that signals a little bit more of better fortune for this car, because NSXs have not been quick around here at all. The quickest NSX we've had sits in 184th place with a 30.826. It's being beaten by just about every single Civic that has gone around the course. That is, in case you're wondering, pretty average for this course, and ultimately the NSX is supposed to be a high-end sports car, so it's supposed to be a lot further up than that, but these cars are really not well suited for this course, so I'm hoping this one signals different fortunes. Mid-engined rear-wheel drive, 437 horsepower, 1,188 kilos. As I mentioned, this car is identical to the 97 Honda NSX, which we have previously ran. I think that ended up in a very low 31 seconds, but this one has race mod, so basically that's the difference. And this one has a 6-speed manual, as opposed to the 91 Acura NSX, which had a 4-speed automatic. Anyways, to find out how this gets along, it is going to get 6 laps of the Motorsports Land track in order to set the best time it possibly can. Current leader, thanks to the last episode, is the 1999 Mitsubishi GTO LM edition. That's at a time of 27.017. The NSX absolutely is not beating that. The NSX would be lucky to come within probably about 3 seconds of beating that. So as I mentioned, Type S is sort of what we're aiming for. I'm hoping the increased downforce on this NSX might give it better fortunes. The problem with the NSX, simply put, is it is not well suited to this course at all. It is a mid-engined rear-wheel drive car. It is naturally pretty wayward in its handling, and it's naturally aspirated, which really doesn't help. That means you don't really get an awful lot of power until way high up in the rev range, which does mean it's not quite as quick as something you'd maybe want, although 30.514. The race mod really made the difference. Damn. To be fair, this drives a lot better than most NSXs, and also I was being very sort of conservative on that lap, trying not to push it too much. So we'll try and push a little bit, see what more we can get out of it. These ones shouldn't be too bad. The later cars are better because they've got the better gearboxes in them. Of course, in case you're wondering, the quickest ones will likely be the Type S Zero and the NSX Type R, of course, which, despite both of them having basically the same power as the stock, because everything was 276 horsepower with an NSX, they, I think, actually get a little bit more power fully upgraded. So yeah, that's something to bear in mind for when those cars take on the course. So yeah, again, a fun one to look forward to. I am quite pleased we managed to get into the 30s. Trying to see if we can get anywhere close to that again with this. Maybe some better driving would help. It always is a bit on a knife edge. This isn't actually a particularly lightweight car, but it definitely drives like one. We've seen this with stuff like the really lightweight stuff like the Elises. They really get bounced around on the grass, and this feels like that, even though, you know, this is like 2 times the car of an NSX than an Elise in both weight and power and all the rest of it. It does drive just like that, and you got to be really careful when you're on the grass so the rear end doesn't snap out and try to fight back on you. Again, it's all about the gearing as well in these naturally aspirated cars. You've really got to be in the right gear at the right time, otherwise you are having a problem. That might have been a bit too deep into there, and indeed it is. I think there's a little bit of time in there, but we'll take the 30.514. Considering how the previous cars have done, that's a pretty darn good time, to be fair. We've seen this a little bit with these sort of Japanese sports cars. We test like 5 or 6 of them and they really don't do well. and then all of a sudden we'll get the breakout star. Stuff like the Supra comes to mind. So, yeah, interesting one. Also interesting, apparently my quickest time was not the quickest on any of those laps. Very interesting. Like I say, I was going conservative on those laps, and you can sort of see in the time differences. I lost an awful lot of time on that last lap, but would that last lap have been quicker? Maybe by a little bit, but not by much. There's definitely 0.2 in there, no doubt, on this car, but still, definitely not a bad time. A 30.514 will put this into 154th place. Goes in between, well, two Japanese rivals. The Mitsubishi GTO, although worth mentioning that's the naturally aspirated version, and the Nissan Silvia Spec R. It is quicker than the Lancia Stratos, quicker than the Lotus Europa, quicker than the Lotus Esprit V8 GT. Does lose out slightly to E55 AMG, the Civic Ferio, Vectra GSI, Mugen Integra Type R. It is trying to look for it. I think it's a little bit down on one of the Supras we had. Yes, it is. We had a turbo Supra go around that was about 0.1 of a second quicker, which honestly, again, there might be time in this to sort of get that far up. But we'll see, of course, when we get around to stuff like the Types S0 and the Type R. Anyways, that is it for this episode. Thank you all very much for watching. Join me next time when I will be driving something completely different. Until then, farewell.